William Lawrence is a professor of political science and international affairs at the American University. He joins me now live from Washington. Thanks very much, Professor, for joining us here. Tell me, what do you make of these allegations?
Well, there seems to be a lot of facts on the ground. We know that the drones that were shot down, at least 37 were shot down, according to the Ukrainians, are filled with Iranian parts relabeled as Russian parts. So these are Iranian drones, and the U.S. was telling the world that Russia had purchased them going back to August. We tracked the planes, that is, they flew from Tehran to Moscow, I guess, and then Crimea to park the drones at the base where the Iranian trainers are. And now the new revelation today is that because the drones were malfunctioning to some degree, they've sent in Iranian trainers, as Iran had sent some to support the Houthis in northern Yemen, to make the drones fly better. The real problem here, from an international law point of view, is that they're being used to commit war crimes, both directly killing civilians on purpose, not as collateral damage, and knocking out civilian infrastructure. And I did read over the weekend that up to a third of Ukraine's electricity had been affected by the latest drone strikes. And of course, we have the shelling around the largest nuclear plant in Europe that the Russians have been doing. So instead of using the drones, and this is what's confusing US military experts, instead of using the drones to try to win battles in the 4 occupied territories, they're using them to hit civilians across the country in a way that makes no military sense. And so that's what's puzzling Washington right now.
And what could be the consequences for Iran?
Well, there have already been further sanctions. So as of August, when they started making these sales, the U.S. put sanctions on the airplanes that were being used to transport them, which were Boeing's, and sanctions on the Iranians involved in the operation of the drones. But there could be further sanctions against Iran, and certainly the fact that the United Kingdom and the European Union are slapping new sanctions on Iran related to this means that we could be moving towards more global sanctions against Iran rather than just emanating from the United States, which could have quite dire further effects on the Iranian economy, among other things.
Now, Professor, before I let you go, I want to talk about the broader context. What's exactly happening in Ukraine right now? Now, as I understand, Russia has annexed key regions of Ukraine, 4 parts of eastern Ukraine, where it has also declared martial law. And at the same time, Ukraine has recaptured some key villages. Tell me, where do you think this war is heading?
Ultimately a stalemate. So the way to think of it is Russia took about 20% of the entire territory of Ukraine, and now they're back to about 18% with the latest Ukrainian victories. That includes in the 18% Crimea, which was annexed in 2014, and the 4 territories. Now, of the 4 new territories annexed by Russia, none of them are fully controlled by Russia. In fact, Russia is right now evacuating Kherson, the biggest city in that district that it annexed and declared martial law. And as the Ukrainians are preparing to retake the first major city lost in the war, which would be a major blow to the Russian offensive. So what we're seeing here is, I would argue, the beginning of the end of the war, but that end could take years or months. I mean, it could take a long time, but both sides are beginning to realize that without a major influx of fighters and weapons, they won't be able to gain all of their military goals. Of course, Russia's goal would be to take the entire 100% of Ukraine. Ukraine's goal would be to get all 18% of its territory back. I don't think that's possible without a very, very bloody and prolonged conflict. So it's just a question as to where the new borders will be drawn, as Russia will have been successful in about doubling the amount of Ukrainian territory that it's holding and has annexed.
Professor William Lawrence, thank you very much. Really appreciate your taking out the time.
Sure.